So we are moving to the Humboldt fog. So Michele, tell us about your iconic cheese.
Yeah, we call it the original American original because this is one of the very first cheeses in America that was made in America that is not based on a European style cheese, right? This is absolutely Mary's creation. Here's what it looks like cut. And this is a soft ripened, so you've got that soft white bloomy rind goat cheese again that has been ash ripened. So we cover it with ash, we make it and then we cover it with ash. And there's an ash line down the center, which is a vegetable ash that acts not as a flavor agent at all, but as it changes the pH of the milk so that you know, when you have a traditional fresh goat cheese, you get kind of that, it's very tangy, right? Very acidic. That ash actually tones that down a hair, changes the pH of the surface of the cheese, makes that rind grow really nicely, and also, again, takes it. This is a nice citrusy cheese for sure. And again, depends on how old. This one just came to me straight from the creamery, so it's not very old. So I don't have very much ripening, and my rind is going to be super, super white and snowy. But it's really not unusual, especially if you live west east of the Rockies, that this cheese will come to you with much more age on it than I've got in my hand right now. And it's still equally delicious. I kind of prefer my cheese to be running out the door in front of me. So it's okay with me if it has a really thick cream line and then just a little bit of paste in the center. But it is, again, as it matures, you know, cheese is a living, breathing thing. So as it matures, you get different flavor profiles. So my profile today, and I don't know what you guys are looking at, but mine is pretty young. So I'm going to have a lot more citrusy notes, and it's going to be, you know, more to the side of a regular fresh goat cheese flavor profile, more tangy, more acidic, more citrus, and less complex, which is what you get when you have the rind and a lot more cream line as this cheese ages.
This is a beautiful cheese. And I think like right away when we were kind of discussing this whole thing, I remember Charlie saying, we need something that's sour to go with this, because I think this is one of his favorite cheeses as well. So Wild Little Thing is a fruited beer. We call it slightly sour because it's not a traditional, what would be like a lambic or something like that's overwhelmingly sour. This does a little bit of lactic acid fermentation with some of the wort, and then we make this beer. It's 5.5%. It's really, in a lot of ways, a great refresher beer, in my opinion. It uses guava, strawberry, and hibiscus. Hibiscus gives us this kind of red color to it. But a lot of the strawberry comes through, and the guava as well. Mainly for me, a lot of strawberry aroma and a lot of strawberry flavor. That little bit of kind of sourness, I think, just goes fabulously with this cheese. Not a lot of bitterness to this beer.
I think this has got to be the least bitter beer that is produced by Sierra Nevada. I would think it's less than 10 IBU, and there's a history of sour beers from Belgium, for example, including a proportion of fruit. You know, people have heard of the famous sort of the cassis with the black currants and the pêche and pombe and so on. So, you know, the fruit, the presence of fruit is no stranger to the sour beers. You've still got the sourness coming through. And I know from, I used to come up every year to Arcadia and do a fundraiser with a local school and doing beer and cheese pairings, which always I thoroughly look forward to. And I always would have a Humboldt Fog, and always a famous sour beer from one of Ken Grossman's good friends from Russian River. And he insisted, you know, Kenny, the brewer there insisted that his beer had to be paired with Humboldt Fog, and quite rightly so. This again is the tartness of the two really balance one another beautifully well, in my opinion.
Well, this beer is delightful. I'm actually based in Austin, Texas, not in Arcata, and this is going to be like what I drink all summer long. This is just so delightful. I get the strawberries first, absolutely, but a bit of guava as well, and I just think, you know, it's just perfect. It's perfect for summertime drinking.
A nice summer afternoon, sipping on this, nibbling on some of this fine cheese.
It'll cut through the humidity.
Watch the world go by. Just watch the world go by.
Absolutely. And I like it for the same reasons you guys do as well. You know, it's just a really nice, when I think about summer and the heat, like 9 times out of 10, I just want to, that's all I want for dinner, right? Is give me a really nice beverage, a nice beer like this, and a piece of cheese and a couple of crackers, and I'm happy. I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to clean anything up. And it's just a really nice way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, perfectly well-balanced diet there, you know, right there.
I got all the food groups except for maybe a piece of chocolate at the end, right? Yeah. But the strawberries, I often pair Humboldt Fog with strawberries on its own, you know, as a fruit to go with the cheese. And so this, for me, just knocks it out of the park.
I think that that's an important part about the way that this beer works with this cheese, is that the fruitiness that's in here, as we said about it being a little sour, you don't want it to be syrupy, and that would be just god awful. So having the little bit of a sour hint to it with that strawberry and the guava in there is really nice. It's the fruitiness really stands out. The carbonation is just, it's in the background, so you're not getting a overly carbonated beer here. And then when you put in the Humboldt Fog, that rind, is one of my favorite parts about it. Is just, it has a nice richness to it. There's a little bit of a mushroom flavor, but it's kind of a little bit of a woodsiness. And it really picks up and enhances some buttery flavors that's in there, but they all come together with the fruit. And the beauty part about this is that you really don't lose one or the other, you know, and the others two, we kind of dropped something down in here. They really stayed out in their nice balance, because the fruitiness of the beer isn't overpowering, and the cheese isn't overpowering. So you get a nice balance. It's really a nice, and like Michele said, this is a great beer for the summertime, and just enjoying with a cheese when you want to do something a little light, not so formally heavy.
Right.
Yeah, I could also see myself, you know, like at the end of a barbecue, after some burgers on the grill or something, having this as the dessert course. Perfect.
You know, in my experience doing beer dinners, it's usually the dessert course works the best, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is, it's, you know, there's been several courses beforehand, but really, you know, there's some tremendous triumphs to be had with whether it's cheese and different beers or some other desserts and so on. So you're right. I mean, this would be a great conclusion to a meal.
Yeah, I would actually encourage people too, is like, you know, Wild Little Thing has a little bit of sourness to it. We were trying to kind of pick a beer that's easy for people to get. We do make some stronger sour beers, and that's one thing I want to do, is grab one of ours and really try it with this, probably tonight.
And we also paired it up with the lamb chopper.
Again.
Yeah, lamb chopper again, showing its versatility. But I think that's really nice. I like that very much. It's a different kind of flavor because the creaminess of the cheese is so much, well, the cheese is so much more, coats your mouth so much more, and it's much creamier. So I really like the textural difference that you get between that and Humboldt Fog. But I will admit that I like the flavor on the Humboldt Fog pairing better.
Very distinctly different. You really pick up the saltiness, which you don't get without the beer. You really don't notice that there's a saltiness here, but there's a beautiful saltiness in here that comes out. But the strawberry goes right to the top.
Mm.
I mean, that's amazing.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because it was like, as you were saying that, I'm like, wow, the saltiness in the cheese is like just really shining through.
It's a remarkable testimony to how different pairings can really shift the perception of the beer in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that encourages you to drink more beer, because the saltiness kind of comes in like like the peanuts, and you need another beer, and it's kind of like it's quenching, and then you take a bite here, then you gotta go back. So it's a really nice balance of I love the cheese, but I need the beer now. It's one of those things where, okay, it's time for the beer, because it just you need it to help with that. And so it's kind of like they're paired as assistants
Yeah,
to each other.
I agree. It's really good.